President Trump has ordered the FBI to conduct an investigation into Judge Kavanaugh, as requested by the Senate Judiciary Committee. So, amazing amount of news this afternoon, Greg. First, we find out Jeff Flake, the senator from Arizona, who's not seeking re-election, has told the Senate Judiciary Committee, you know what, I think we need an FBI investigation. And without his vote, I don't think they might have had the 51 they needed. So it looks like there is now going to be a week-long FBI investigation.
I know. Yeah, you know what? I can't. This is definitely not a delay tactic.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I'm so happy. Everybody's so happy that they have another week of just completely driving the country crazy. I mean, first it was about a drunken assault at 17. Then it was an indecent exposure. Then he was ruling over gang rape parties. So I figure if you have a week, they're going to find out he was drowning orphans in a tub down by the city dump. This is crazy. I mean, this isn't about deep diving on a specific incident now. It's about buying more time for the Avenettis of the world to drum up other things, I think.
Because one more week, what could happen, Geraldo? You could have more women come forward, as Chris Coons, the senator from Delaware, admitted. He goes, I can't control if more women will come forward. And how do we know that the lawyers for Ford aren't going to play games and say, you know what, she's not ready to talk to the FBI. She needs a few more days to recover from her testimony?
I don't think that that's the risk. I think the risk is the investigation itself. When you launch an investigation, as witnessed by this collusion illusion, once it gets going, no one can stop it.
But didn't they put a time limit on it?
If you have what if you're in the FBI, you have a 1 week limit, and you have a witness who's about to testify, about to tell you, or tells you half the story, and then you say, oh, I can't tell you. No, it's not limited.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because the people that the FBI is going to investigate, there may be more witnesses. I hesitate to call them witnesses because they say they weren't there, so how could they have witnessed a crime? But they have already given sworn statements to congressional investigators. The felony of lying to a congressional investigator is the same as lying to an FBI agent. So these people have already sworn under oath they were not at the party. They don't really know what happened at the party because they weren't there, and they're not really sure if it actually happened. So when the FBI asked them the same question, they're already in a position where they are under oath saying it didn't happen. So the questions will be the same, and the answers will be the same. Let me
push back on the pushback. Here you have a situation where the nominee has given testimony that the yearbook references, to Renata or to barfing or farting and all these other things mean one thing. Now, what if the FBI calls him, now asks him to testify? Now,
who?
Judge Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, okay.
All right, Judge Kavanaugh, here you have a situation. You said you gave testimony that meant, Renata, you were just singing the praises of this one girl, that to say a Renata alum doesn't mean that you all were bragging that you all scored with this one lady. Is that true? No, upon refreshing my recollection, did mean.
Wait, Geraldo, you're assuming
I think that this is. Well, let me just say this.
You're assuming Brett Kavanaugh lied yesterday. That's what you're assuming.
I'm telling you this, Jess. The pro-choice forces in this country are elated today. The pro-life forces in this country are running scared. They are petrified. This has thrown the what seemed a slam dunk into total disarray.
How do you know that, Geraldo?
How do you know that?
Because anything can happen now, Greg. Anything
What
can
is
happen.
the precedent that it sets, though? I mean, this guy had 6. This will now be 7 FBI background checks. These are unsubstantiated, uncorroborated claims that the only people she says were in the room say they weren't there. They don't know anything about a party. And 2 of them back up Kavanaugh's statement. That's fine. President Trump wants to say that. But what I'm saying is this will open up the floodgates. You are going to have anonymous allegations from all over the place. You're going to have Democrats saying this needs to be investigated. Oh, wait, the FBI investigation wasn't thorough enough. Guess what? Anita Hill got an FBI investigation. It lasted 3 days. They found nothing. And Democrats are still saying Clarence Thomas did what he did. They don't care about the facts.
And Clarence Thomas is still affected by it.
Can I respond to Geraldo? You were going to bring up what Donald Trump had said about Dr. Ford.
Yes.
Which is actually accurate. She was compelling and, in my view, credible. As was he was credible.
I agree.
Which means I believe, and I think you do too, that they believe they're telling the truth.
I
Both of them.
absolutely believe
Both
that.
of them.
I
So that
absolutely
means,
agree
and so
with you.
this is about the flawed nature of memory, that one of them might have it wrong. Both of them could have it wrong. We will never know. So you have to kind of like.
But that's why witnesses exist, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you have two credible people giving credible stories. That's why you need corroboration. That's why you need evidence.
Right.
I mean, Mitchell, who asked great questions, Rachel Mitchell, who does this for a living, said, I wouldn't bring this to court.
That's an important point.
I wouldn't bring it to court. I wouldn't even get a search
I
warrant.
actually would
There's
disagree.
nothing
I mean,
there.
I think you know, everyone's been very careful about talking about the credibility of the woman. Listening to her answers yesterday from the outside prosecutor, she actually had a lot of things that she answered that were major discrepancies from what she had said to her attorneys, to the Washington Post, and what we have seen her say. For example, she said that she only told her husband and her therapist about the sexual assault, but then yesterday she said that she actually talked to people on the beach, her beach friends, about this, and that's when she decided to go and contact the media, and they encouraged her to do it. There were glaring holes yesterday in her testimony. She couldn't remember a number of things that happened in the past 7 weeks, not to mention the past 32 years. I understand things are difficult to remember when traumatic things happen. However, when it comes down to this, all of the evidence of character, which is what matters here because it happened so long ago, is on the side of Brett Kavanaugh. The people that she says were in that room, the people who said that were in that room all say, don't know about it, and everybody else is backing up
That's important. Those are her alleged witnesses.
Yeah, Geraldo, let's look at it from the FBI perspective, because they don't know where this happened, they don't have a house, and they really don't know the time frame. They know maybe a 6-week time frame. They're going to ask generally the same people that we've all been hearing about, the alleged witnesses and the two main people involved. Besides the questions that they've asked yesterday at the hearing, there's only so much follow-up you can do, and if you ask me, Judge Kavanaugh was meticulous with his calendar. He has an ironclad memory and can account for much more and in much more detail, and has all of the alleged witnesses backing him up. Whereas, as Katie mentioned, Dr. Ford, extremely believable but hazy on a lot of key issues. How she got to the party, how she left the party, where the party was. All of those things are going to be looked at by FBI investigators, and they're going to say, you know what? Here it is to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and it's going to look a lot like what the Senate Judiciary Committee staff found themselves.
I've been a combat reporter for decades. This is war. Judge Kavanaugh, watching that man yesterday with that weeping and that, did you do bongs when you were a senator? I mean, he seemed to me hanging by a thread. Now he's got another week, and he knows they're coming at him full bore. They're going to question every answer he has given up until now. I would be worried that he's going to crack in the next week.
Well, that's
what's going to keep him.
That's what the Democrats are hoping for.
Crack.
That's what they're hoping for. They're hoping that this guy isn't going to survive. I think he is, because I think he's not fighting for the Supreme Court seat now. He's fighting for his name, and he's fighting for his family. He's fighting for his life. So I think he's got to fight this. The thing is, I don't know if it matters what you feel at this point, because the process is a sham, right? We know the process is a sham.
It is a disgrace.
Which Rachel Mitchell said as well.
Yeah.